So lovely to be here with everybody this morning. We're going to start off this morning's practice in a seated position. So I'd like you to just find a place where you feel comfortable to be able to sit. You might want to lean on something. You might be sitting on something, maybe a chair or some blocks or some cushions feels comfortable for you. Just finding a place where you can sit comfortably, and that hasn't got to be cross-legged. If you'd prefer to kneel or have your legs stretched out, know that those options are all available to you as well. And allow yourself to find a place where your hands feel comfortable. You might want to rest them on the body. You might rest them away from the body. You might want to put something under the hands in the lap to give you a bit of extra support. And then if it feels comfortable for you, you might want to close your eyes, or you might just wish to keep your eyes open, but just with a soft gaze looking out to the distance. And just taking some time to allow yourself to begin to settle. Turning the attention from the external world to our internal world. And allowing yourself to just begin to acknowledge how you are, how you've arrived today into this practice. Sometimes an acknowledgement that we've made the effort to be here despite all of the different things that could be pulling us elsewhere. You've made it here. And you've got this time that you can dedicate to yourself, away from all of the other responsibilities, the distractions, the to-do list. It's the time for us. And reminding ourselves as we dedicate this time to ourselves, that this practice can be however and whatever you need it to be. So if you are maybe struggling with physical things, mental, emotional things, energetic things, you can very much be the driver of this practice, and you decide how little or how much you want to do. Allowing yourself just a few moments to acknowledge the body that you've arrived in today. What this body may need, what this body may deserve, what this body might desire. And allowing yourself to be aware of how you are energetically. Noticing how sometimes the energy can feel displaced between our minds and our bodies. Sometimes it can feel displaced between the energy within us and the energy around us. So again, noting what you need to know about your energetic systems today. And again, a reminder that this practice can be adapted, can be amended to what you need it to be, to suit your energy today. And then turning your attention to how your mind is and where your mind is at this time. Maybe your mind is very focused. Maybe your mind is scattered or caught up with other things that might have been happening in your life. Maybe the mind feels clear or slightly foggy or distant. Maybe the mind is feeling really busy, or maybe it's quite quiet today. Noting where those tendencies are with where the mind drifts to. Is it in this moment, or does it drift to the past or the future? Maybe a combination of all of those things. Noting your mood or your emotional states at this time. And I'd like you to turn your attention to your breath. And breathe in through the nose, right to the very depths of your lungs. And as you breathe out through the mouth with a sigh, a long release, a letting go. Let's just repeat that a few more times on your own. So a big full breath in and a long release of the breath out, maybe an audible sigh. And the next time you breathe out, rather than breathing out through the mouth, breathe out through the nose. So allowing the exhalation to still be that little bit longer breath, but through the nose. And then as you breathe in through the nose. And breathe out through the nose. If the nose is blocked, then feel free to continue to breathe through the nose and through the mouth. Taking this moment to just acknowledge what you need this practice for today. And there'll be the logical things that come into your mind. There'll be the emotional relationships that we have with yoga and the expectations that we think we should be doing. But also allow yourself to recognize those things that come up that we're not expecting. And maybe just creating a little space within ourselves for the possibility of this practice, rather than the logic or the expectation. And when you feel ready, just gently bow your head towards your hands. Sorry, bow your head towards your chin. So you're just sort of stretching through the back of the neck. And then lift the gaze and look up to the ceiling. You might want to open your eyes at this point and look up to the sky. Bring the head back to center, and let's just do a kind of little circle around of the head. Just being careful with how you circle the head around. Try not to force it or sort of push it in any direction if there's any areas that feel a bit stuck. And then let's circle in the other way if that feels okay. So we're just loosening up some of those areas of connective tissue around the neck, around the throat area. And then allow your head to feel like it's being lifted up towards the ceiling. Chin is slightly down, so the back of your neck feels long. And let's bring our hands into Amanjali Mudra. Lightly push the left and the right hand together. And let's utilize the mantra Om 3 times to just kind of set a segue between this first part of our practice and the movement. So taking a breath in and a breath out. And a breath in, ready to chant or listen. Just once more. Allowing that sound of vibration to set those intentions for ourselves. And as you feel ready, allow the eyes to flicker open if they haven't done already. And let's bring ourselves up to a standing position. So you might want to get rid of anything that you could fall over on your mat. I'm going to be brave and take my socks off, but you might want to keep yours on for a little bit longer. And then come and stand towards the top end of our mat. And as we stand towards the top end of our mat, feet are roughly hip distance apart. So just allowing ourselves just to kind of find our center. So just spreading through your toes, feeling into your heels, feeling into the insides and the outsides of your feet. And then what we're going to do is lift up onto our toes, float our arms forwards and reach up towards the sky. Keep looking ahead at this point. As we exhale, we're going to bring the heels back down and let the arms come back by our sides. So as we inhale again, we're going to float up, coming up onto the tiptoes, eyes looking to the horizon, and exhale as you gently float down. So let's do this a couple more times, just moving gently, maybe allowing your breath to be as long as the movement you're making. So each of us will have a slightly different or adjusted way of moving. If taking your arms overhead feels a little bit of a challenge, you just might bring them out in front of the chest rather than taking them overhead. Let's just repeat that one more time. Inhale as you lift up, spread the fingers as wide as you can, and then lower yourself back down. Brilliant. Bring the hands onto the outside edges of your thighs. We're going to drop our chin towards our chest and then allow our shoulders to roll forwards. Bend our knees slightly and just bring yourself forwards into a hanging forward fold. Taking a couple of breaths in this forward fold, bending the knees more, particularly if your lower back or your hamstrings are feeling a little bit tight. And then when you feel ready, starting with the feet, push the feet into the floor, bend the knees, and gently roll yourself back up in the way that you rolled down. So you come all the way back up to our start position. Let's take a breath in again. Think about extending through the length of the spine. And then as you exhale, folding forwards again, chin coming in, arms hanging forwards. Maybe going a little bit deeper into the second forward fold. And this time, let's have a little sway from side to side. So we're just gently swaying from one leg to another, sending the weight more into one foot than the other. And then when you feel ready, again, just gently rolling all the way back up Taking your time. This third time, what we're going to do, if it feels okay for you, is inhale, reach the arms up, spread the fingers and reach up to the sky. As we exhale, we're going to fold forwards, drop the chin and roll forwards in the same way that you did before. Let's bring our hands onto our shins this time. And as we inhale, we're going to look up away from our legs. As we exhale, fold back over those legs. As we inhale, take the arms wide, reach up to the sky, spread the fingers, look up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, float the arms back down by your side. Let's do that again. As we inhale, we float ourselves up, looking up to the ceiling. As we exhale, folding forwards, rolling through the spine. Hands come down to the shins or the ankles. Inhale as we look up. Exhale, fold back heavily over those legs, letting the head go. Inhale, take the arms wide, reach up to the sky. And exhale back to where we started. I'm just going to turn to the front of the mat. So bring your hands onto your hips now. I want you to step your right leg back. And then once you've stepped it back, wiggle it a little bit further back. So your right heel is going to be off of the floor. We're going to bend our left knee, sending our left knee forwards. Hands on your hips to begin. Look ahead. We're going to spread through the fingers. If you can, take them off of the hips. And as you inhale, float the arms again up to the ceiling. Keep looking ahead for the moment. As we exhale, float the arms back down by your sides. Little tip here, the wider the feet are, the easier it is. Also, the closer you get to the floor, the easier it is, weirdly. One more time. Big in-breath, spread those fingers wide. And gently float back down. Fantastic. We're going to step this back foot forwards. You might need to do a couple of steps to get it forwards. Then we're going to do the same with the other leg. So left leg, step it back, and then step it back further and wiggle it back even further still. So your left heel is up. Bend your right knee. Remember, if you need a wider stance, this may help. Spread the fingers. We're going to do the opposite with the arms. So we're not going forwards. We're going to go out to the side. So we're going to inhale as you float the arms up and reach up to the ceiling. Exhale as you float back down. Keep the eyes looking ahead. Inhale to float the arms up. Reach up to the sky. Exhale, float back down. Last time as we inhale. And exhale. Step the left foot forwards. Again, you might need to do a couple of little steps. Hands are going to come onto the backs of the legs this time. Draw the shoulders away from your ears. Take a big breath in. As we exhale, we're going to fold forward. Slide the hands all the way down the back of the legs. Hands come onto the shins as you inhale, look up. Exhale, fold forwards. Bend your knees this time. Bring your hands onto the floor and then step yourself back into downward dog position. So feet want to be roughly hip distance apart. Hands a little bit wider than your shoulders. Lift one heel up, push the other heel down. So we're just stretching through the backs of the legs. We've just done that standing lunge position, which would have challenged our feet, would have challenged our legs a little bit. So let's just see how that feels, just to work out any tightness. Fantastic. Send both of your heels up to the sky at the same time. So you're right up on your tiptoes. And then send both of the heels all the way down towards the earth. Lift up again, come right up onto your tiptoes. Push those heels down towards the earth. Last time, if you can manage, lift up onto the tiptoes. Push those heels down. Fantastic. Come down onto both of your knees. As you come down onto your knees, walk your hands just inward, just a touch. So we just might be a little bit over our hands being underneath our shoulders. We're going to lift our right arm out to the side, reach it up towards the ceiling. And as we exhale, feed our right arm underneath our left arm. Inhale as we push ourselves away with the floor with that left arm, stretching the right up to the ceiling. Exhale as you feed that right arm underneath the left. Couple more times, just moving in and out of this threading the needle position, helping to bring a little bit more mobility, maybe through the rib cage, the shoulders, the upper part of the back. So the next time you move into that position, I want you to just pause there just for a moment. So see if you can bring your right shoulder down onto the floor. You might be able to bring the right side of your head onto the floor. Walk your left hand forward and then lift your left palm off of the floor, but your fingertips are going to stay on the floor. So you've got this sense of kind of extension through the left armpit area. So you're sort of stretching through that left armpit, left shoulder area. Eyes are just looking out towards that left-hand side. When you feel ready, just slip that left hand back so it's underneath your left shoulder. Push into that left hand and bring yourself all the way back up. We're going to come off of our wrists for a moment and come onto our forearms. So bring your elbows down, interlace your hands together. We're going to extend our right leg back behind us and then circle our right knee out to the side and then bring it back into the center. So we're doing a sort of three-legged balance, but moving that right leg around in a circular fashion. So we're just mobilizing into those hips. We're going to circle in the opposite way. So you draw into the chest first, out to the side, and then extend back behind. So just a couple more times. Fantastic. Bring that right knee back onto the floor. Bring yourself up. So you're going to bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. Then we're going to go into that threading the needle with the left hand side. So you're going to extend your left arm out, reach it up to the ceiling maybe. And as you exhale, feed the left arm underneath the right armpit. Inhale again, push into that right hand as you draw yourself up. And exhale as you feed that left arm under. Repeat that a few more times, just on your own, in your own way. Just exploring how that feels through that shoulder area, through the upper back, that turning of the head from one way to the other. And then when you feel ready, we're going to come into that thread in the needle. So you're going to rest your left shoulder on the floor. You might need something to bring your left side of the head onto, so a block or a blanket, cushion. You might want to walk your right hand forwards and then lift up onto your palm, or lift your palm off the floor so you're just on your fingertips. And your gaze is just sort of looking beyond that right armpit, through that little window that you've created, stretching through that area of the right armpit, the right shoulder, the right side of the torso. Fantastic. So you're gently going to slip that right hand back under your shoulder, push into your right hand and gently draw yourself up back into our 4-point kneeling position. And then we're going to come down back onto our elbows again. So interlacing your hands, elbows are roughly underneath your shoulders, and then project your left leg back, bend the knee, bring it round towards the shoulder, and then circle it back in. So we'll do about 3 or 4 of these circles. Although we're working through the hip, it's also a really useful stabilizing position. So let's change the direction. So your abdominal muscles and the sort of abdominal girdle is having to work really hard to stop yourself from falling over here. So it's a really great core exercise. So once you've done about 3 or 4 of those, bring your left knee back onto the floor. We're going to bring our hands back underneath our shoulders. From here, we're going to arch our back like a cat yawning in the morning, and then send your bottom back in the direction of the heels, just going back as far as you can. We're going to inhale and lift ourselves all the way back up again. Lift the chest, lift the gaze, lift the eyes. And exhale as you round the back, arching and then sinking down onto the heels. If you want to avoid compressions through the abdominal area, you can bring the big toes together, take the knees a little bit wider, and you'll find by doing that, it just gives a little bit more space for the abdomen if you feel the abdomen's getting a bit compressed. And you don't want to do that today. So just a couple more times, just moving back and forth. Lovely little movement, which can really help release some tension through the lower back, through that pelvic region. So just repeating one last time, and then coming back to sit in that child's pose. So heels in the direction, or bottom rather, in the direction of your heels. You might want to cross your forearms and bring your head upon your forearms. You might be comfortable with your head floating off the floor. You might want to bring your forehead to the floor. So just have a little rock across the body. You're just kind of moving from left to right, helping to move that connective tissue around the hips, around the lower back, but also that slight sense of compression of the lower visceral organs to the body, having that light compression and that rolling as we move from left to right. So when you feel ready, we're going to push ourselves all the way back up, come back up to our 4-point kneeling position. If you did take the knees wider, then bring them back underneath the hips again. We're going to walk forwards with our hands. So we come up into a high kneeling position. And then we're going to step our right foot forwards towards the top end of our mat. So if you need to give yourself a bit of extra padding, you might want to double up your mat or put a blanket underneath that left knee. You can certainly do that. We're going to come into a twist here. So you're going to bring your left hand, you're going to firstly stretch it up towards the sky. So we get in as kind of long as we can through that left side of the body. And then we're going to bring that left hand over onto our right knee. So we're crossing it over our body. Then we're going to extend our right arm up to the ceiling. And then we're going to see if we can windmill that right arm back behind us and just touch it onto our lower back. So we're looking over that right shoulder. For some of you, you might find you want to sink into that front knee a little bit more. So moving into that right knee a little bit more. For some of you might prefer to be sort of back more into that left knee. So we're not bending that right knee quite so much. Squeeze the thighs gently together to just help to stabilize yourself. And then we're firstly just going to turn our gaze and look towards the front. Then we're going to bring our hands down either side of our right foot. And then we're going to step our right foot back to join our left. We're going to step our left knee forwards, or left foot forwards rather. Again, if you need to pad up this right knee, please do. And then bring yourself up. So we're going to be using that left thigh as a little bit of a sort of support and stabilizer while we get ourselves in a comfortable position. We're going to extend our right arm up towards the ceiling. Take an inhale, we get as long as you can through that right side of the body. And then cross the right hand over onto the left knee. Then extend your left arm up to the ceiling. Again, get long and tall as you can. And then sweep that left arm back behind you and place it onto your lower back. See if you can turn your gaze and look over towards that left shoulder. Remember to breathe here. Again, if you want to sink into that front knee a little bit more, you could do. If you want to back off a little bit, you can do that too. One more breath in. As you breathe out, turn your gaze, look towards the front. Bring your hands either side of your left foot. Step your left knee back to join your right. Hands are going to come flat onto the floor. We're going to tuck our toes under and push ourselves back up into downward dog. I want you to make a conscious effort here, maybe even walking your feet slightly forwards to push your heels down towards the earth. Now, as you do that, you might want to bend your knees and push into your hands and draw your hips back a little bit further. So we're kind of using gravity to really push down into those heels and stretching through the backs of those legs. We're going to walk our hands towards our feet. And as we walk our hands towards our feet, we're going to bring our heels down onto the floor. We're going to bend our knees and then lift our arms forward, interlacing our hands, creating a little sort of shooter with our forefinger, crossing our thumbs. Arms are roughly in alignment with our ears. Drop the bottom a little bit lower if you can do. And then see if you can lift that pointer up towards the ceiling. Drop the bottom a little bit lower if you can do. Look up to the sky if you're able to. Think about drawing the shoulders back and away from the ears slightly. Stay with the hands in this position, and as you inhale, stand up. As we exhale, keep the arms overhead. We're going to lean towards one side. Doesn't matter what way you go. Inhale, come up to the center, get as long and as tall as you can, and then lean over towards the other side. Inhale, come all the way back to the center. Exhale, release the arms and float them gently down by your sides. We should all be at the back of our mat, so bring your hands onto your hips. Step your right foot forwards. And then we're going to turn our left foot, which is our back foot, so it's parallel with the back end of our mat. Your right foot, just wiggle it forwards a little bit more. Walk it towards the front of the mat. And then we're going to bend our right knee. So we're sending our right knee in the direction of our right toes. And then we're going to float our arms up. But turn your palms so they're facing towards the ceiling. So turn your gaze, look towards your right hand, so your right palm. As you inhale, you're going to look up to the ceiling, but bring the hands together and straighten your front leg as you do that. As you exhale, keep the palms turned up, but turn your head and look back towards the right palm again. So as we inhale, we're going to float up, push the floor away with the leg. Exhale as we float back down. Couple more times as we float up, look up. Exhale as we float back into our warrior shape. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Brilliant. We're going to turn our gaze, look towards our right toes or the front of the mat. Bring your hands either side of your right leg. Swivel on your left toes. And then step all the way back to our downward dog position. From our downward dog position, have a little walk through the heels. Have a little sway of your hips. Wherever feels good for your body. Walk your feet just forwards, just a touch. Start to walk your hands towards your feet. Coming back into that forward fold so you're hanging over those legs. And then gently begin to roll yourself up to stand this time. Bring the hands onto your hips. Let's step our left foot forward. So we're stepping towards the front end of our mat. Then our back foot, our right leg, we're going to turn it around, even walk it back. You might even want to walk those left foot or left toes forwards a little bit more. Bend your left knee, stretch your arms out, and then turn your palms up to the ceiling. So exactly the same. As we inhale, you're going to straighten the front leg, bring the hands together, reaching up to the sky. And as you exhale, float back into our warrior two, turning your gaze up to your left hand. So inhale as we float up. Exhale as we float back. Couple more times. Last time. Turn your gaze, look to the front of your mat. Bring your hands either side of your left foot. Swivel on your right toes. We're going to step our left foot back to join our right. So we're back in our downward dog position. Slight change here. Step your feet as wide as the edges of your mat. Heels are going to turn slightly inward. And then we're going to start to walk our hands towards our feet, bending our knees, and see if you can bring yourself into a squatting position. So if squatting isn't feeling right for you today, you could come and lie on your back and adopt this position. If it feels okay, you might even want to come onto your fingertips. You might even want to bring your hands into a prayer position, pushing those elbows into the inner thighs, pushing the inner thighs into the elbows. Again, focus your gaze, focus your balance. Brilliant. When you feel ready, bring your hands onto the floor. We're going to see if we can bring the heels down and stand up. Walk the feet back in, and then walk your hands back onto your feet or onto your legs. It will hang over the legs again, just it will sway from side to side. Brilliant. Come all the way back up to stand. As you come up to stand, bring your feet together now. As you bring your feet together, think about pushing your feet down, squeeze your thighs together, bring your sort of body over the feet. So you're not leaning forward, not leaning back, not leaning to one side or the other. You're almost sort of pushing down right into the center of your feet. From here, keep the attention with your left leg, keep pushing that down, but we're going to pick up our right foot and see if we can place it into the inseam of our left leg. So it could be in the calf. You might use your hand and bring it up into the inner thigh. It might be in the ankle with the foot staying on the floor. Bring our hands together into Amanjali Mudra. Push the left and the right sides of yourself together. Think about getting strong through this mid area. So the core is really working here. Standing tall from the foot all the way up through to the crown. Eyes are not darting around. They're focused upon something. If you want to take the arms overhead, you could do that. Challenge yourself a little bit more. Try to stay with a regular breath. Fantastic. Float the arms down. Step the foot down. Have a little walk. Shake off through the feet. Shake through the legs. And then when you're ready, come back to stand with the feet. So the feet are together, squeezing the thighs together, drawing up from the abdomen. So we're standing really tall, almost sort of like a soldier kind of standing to attention. Then we're going to shift our weight just into our right leg a little bit more. Pick up our left leg. You could turn it, place it on the floor. You might go to the calf. You might come up to the thigh. Bring the hands together. Push the palms together. Utilize this as a way to reconnect with that core. Think about getting as tall as you can from the sole of the foot up to the crown. Again, try not to let the eyes dart around. Let the eyes focus on something. Let the breath regulate. If you wish, you could take the arms up. Keep pushing them together. Challenging our balance, challenging our coordination. Fantastic. Gently release the arms out. Place the foot back down. Drop the chin towards the chest. Rolling ourselves forward. As we roll forward, start to walk yourself forwards. Hands coming onto the mat, walking into that forward fold. And then bringing the knees down onto the floor. If you need to separate the feet slightly or knees slightly, then do. Walk the hands ahead of you. Push into the hands. Keep the bottom lifted, but drop the chest and the forehead towards the floor. So we're coming into a back bend that isn't, again, putting too much pressure through that abdominal area. You might choose to stay here for a couple of breaths, or if you would like to bring the abdomen down onto the floor, you can come forward and then walk the hands forward. So we're in a position which is called the seal instead. So either of these positions are really going to help stretch out through the back. One is putting slightly less pressure through the abdomen. So just a couple more breaths in whatever chosen back bend that you've gone into. And then we're going to walk our hands back, push ourselves all the way back into our child's pose. Again, if you want to bring the big toes together, take the knees a bit wider, you are more than welcome to do that. Again, you might want to rest your head on something. You might prefer to take the head to the floor and slip the arms back behind you. That can be another way of coming into child's pose. Some people like to bring their arms underneath them and kind of give themselves a little hug, just to stretch through the back of the body a little bit more. So from this position, we're going to push ourselves up. If kneeling isn't a comfortable position for you, I want you to sit cross-legged instead, but we're going to sit in an upright position now, and then bring our hands back behind us. So we're going to interlace our hands behind our back. Squeeze our shoulder blades together, and then the fist that we've created, if I just turn, we're going to see if we can push it down towards the earth. So again, keep your gaze looking ahead, or you can close your eyes. But by doing this squeezing of the shoulder blades together, it will start to stretch through the upper part of the chest, working into that front upper abdominal area. So just a couple more breaths here. For some of you, you might even be able to bring the hands into prayer and then reverse them into the back or even up the back. You can see my arms don't do that, but you can imagine what's going on. You sort of turn them that way. Much comfortability. Fantastic. Brilliant. So release yourself out of that position. And then I want you to swing your legs around. Take a block or something to sit on. And then extend your legs away from you. So as we're going to come into a couple of different positions, the first one's going to be called Baddha Konasana. So we're going to bring the soles of our feet together and then draw our heels towards our groin. Then we're going to either sit upright, or if you feel comfortable, we're going to start to lean forward. So you're leaning your chest slightly forward. You could hold your feet. Some of you might want to bring your hands onto the floor. Some people might find they need a bit of extra support. So you could put a bolster or a cushion or something underneath the legs, particularly if you feel you need some support around the knees, the hips, or the lower back feels a bit vulnerable here. So some of you might want to hold your feet, and something you can do here is imagine your feet are a little bit like a book, and you could open that book up. So you're using your thumbs and your fingers to almost open that book upwards. So this is an outward rotation of our hip joints. In a moment, we're going to do an inward rotation of our hip joints as well. So we're going to sit ourselves upright. We're going to bring our hands around the outsides of our knees. We're going to bring both sets of knees together. From here, so you might just need to follow this in the same way that I'm going to do it. We're going to take our left leg and we're going to bring our left foot underneath and towards our right glute. Okay. Then we're going to bring our right leg and we're going to slide our right leg closer towards our left ankle shin joint area. Then we're going to sit up nice and tall from here. Then we're going to extend our left arm ahead of ourselves. We're going to bend our left elbow and we're going to wrap it around our right leg. So you're going to bring that right leg closer in towards the abdomen. Then you're going to extend your right arm up to the ceiling. Take an in-breath, get as long and as tall as you can through that right side of the body, and then windmill your right arm all the way back behind you, bringing it onto the floor, and then turn yourself and look over your right shoulder. Now, some of you might find this feels quite easy. So what you could do is your left elbow, you could slip it over your right knee and then extend your left hand up to the ceiling rather than doing that wrapping of that right leg. So you might find that just gives a little bit more of a sense of awareness around that abdominal area. If you are feeling this is compressing the abdomen, is not feeling comfortable at all, you could twist yourself completely in the opposite direction. So say if you're having any kind of abdominal things going on today, you could twist yourself in completely the opposite way. So you're using your right arm around your right leg and you're opening up through that left side of the body rather than compressing into that left side. So it's always good to know we can do two different things here. So when you feel ready, we're going to bring ourselves back to the center. We're going to unrelease our legs. Let's just stretch the legs away. Do a few sort of ankle turns and point and flexes of the feet, little bobble of the legs. Sometimes that can feel quite tight through the knees, through the hips. And then we're going to start off doing exactly the same thing. So start off with both the knees bent, feet on the floor. This time we're going to bring our right foot underneath our left leg, and you're bringing that right foot almost as though you're sort of bringing it towards that left glute area. Then you're going to bring your left leg up closer towards you and then sit up nice and tall. Use that block or that cushion that you're sitting on to provide a solid foundation to sort of grow upwards from. Stretch your right arm ahead of yourself, reach as far as you can forward, and then bend that right elbow and bring it around that left leg. Then we're going to extend the left arm up to the ceiling. Take an in-breath and get as long and as tall as you can to that left side of the body, and then circle that left hand all the way back behind you. Plant it on the floor or plant it on a block, and then turn your gaze and look over your left shoulder. So again, if you want to go a little bit deeper into this, your right elbow could come on the outside edge of your left knee, and you're extending that right hand up to the ceiling. For those that want to decompress through the abdomen, so we're not putting pressure through the abdomen, we're going to twist completely in the opposite way. So you're going to move away from the leg rather than towards it. Again, that's really useful to remember, particularly through times like Christmas when we tend to overeat a bit. It can be quite nice not to decompress those areas. Brilliant. So when you feel ready, all the way back to the center. Okay, we're going to release our legs out. Again, some little shakes and releases. You might find even you want to stretch through the upper body. So that can feel quite nice to just do that where we've been in those twists. I'm going to suggest put on all your warm stuff now, so socks and jumpers and all that. We're going to do one lying back bend before we come into relaxation, but get yourself warm and comfy. This floor is really cold. Don't want to come off it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Not normally as bad as that. So it must be cold outside. So the back bend that we're going to come into our semi-supine position. So we're going to be lying on our backs. Our knees are going to be bent. Our feet are on the floor. We're going to extend our arms down by our sides, palms downwards. If it feels comfortable for you, we're going to push the feet into the floor and we're going to lift our hips up towards the ceiling. So as we lift up, you're going to squeeze the glutes together, gently squeeze the thighs together, but try not to bring the thighs together, but send your knees in the direction of your toes. So you've got a slight sense of lengthening through the hip flexor area. Now your hands can stay on the floor, palms flat, spreading through the fingers, or you might want to, again, interlace your hands together behind your back and squeeze your shoulder blades together, and you're pushing that fist that you've created down in the direction of your heels. So it's quite similar to when we were kneeling a few moments ago. Try not to push the back of the head into the floor. Try to relax the jaw. And then when you feel you've had enough, separate the hands if you interlace them. Let the back slowly come down. So each vertebrae, just allowing it to gently be placed back onto the floor. Gently curling through the lower back as you bring the tailbone down. Just taking a moment there, just letting the lower back settle. You might even just want to do a couple of little circles around. So you're just kind of circling the pelvis around on the floor, keeping the feet on the floor. Almost as though you're drawing a circle with your lower back. And then change the direction and circle in the opposite way. Brilliant. And then hug your knees up towards you, taking hold of your shins, or the back of your thighs, and just drawing those knees as closely in as feels comfortable. Again, if you don't want to compress through the abdomen or stretch the lower back too much, you might want to take the knees a little bit wider, or you might even find yourself just gently rocking around on the lower back, maybe circling around again like we were doing before. Brilliant. And then place one foot down and then the other foot down. Cross the arms over your chest. Give yourself the biggest hug that you could possibly give yourself. Maybe even saying some kind things to yourself as you give yourself that hug. And then when you feel ready, just let the arms just kind of flop out to the sides, finding the floor. Just spending a few moments here, just focusing on our breath. Letting the breath get a little bit easier, a little bit quieter. And you might choose to stay in this position. Or what you might want to do is put a bolster behind the back of your legs and then stretch your legs along the floor. Rather than lying on your back, you might prefer to lie on your side rather than on your back. But I want you to find a place where you feel comfortable. Would anyone like any more blankets at all? Sure. Yeah. Yvonne, would you like one? Feeling all right? Yeah. So as you begin to let yourself settle, allowing yourself to just find a place that feels comfortable or comforting. You might choose to rest your arms away from you. Maybe you rest them on you. Checking the placement of the legs and the feet. Feeling into how the pelvis, the shoulder girdle, and how the connection between those two areas is that area of the torso, of the spine. Checking the placement of the head and the neck. We're going to go back to that very first breathing practice that we did. So you breathe in through the nose and a slightly audible breath through the mouth. Just sighing, yawning, and allowing any excess energy in the body, in the mind, in the energetic systems to just kind of balance itself with that audible exhalation. And then when you feel ready, allowing your breath just to return back to a natural state for itself. So allowing the breath to be as free as it's able to be in this moment. No expectations. Just allowing the breath to be natural. I invite you to draw your attention down to all of your toes. And just relaxing all of your toes. And relaxing your feet. Relaxing the ankles and the heels. Relaxing the lower legs. Relaxing the knees. Relaxing the thighs and the hamstrings. Relaxing both of the hips. Relaxing the sides of your body. Relaxing your under armpits. Relaxing both of your shoulders. Relaxing your upper arms. Your elbow joints. Relaxing your lower arms. Your wrists. Relaxing your hands. Your thumbs. And all of your fingers. Turning your attention to the lowest part of your torso. So relaxing your buttocks, your pelvis, Relaxing your mid-abdomen, your lower back. Relaxing the back of the ribs, sides of ribs, fronts of ribs. Relaxing the area of the chest or breast. Relaxing the shoulder blades. Relaxing the collarbones, the very upper part of your back. Relaxing the whole of your neck. Relaxing the back of the head, the face, the sides of the head. Relaxing the top of the head. Relaxing the whole of the body. The whole of the body. The whole of the body. I want you to turn your attention now to two parts of your body, the soles of the feet and the top of the head. Be aware of the space between the soles of the feet and the top of the head that contains the whole length of your body. And utilizing your breath, we're just going to breathe from the soles of the feet with the inhale up to the crown. And as you exhale, exhale from the crown to the soles of the feet. So as you breathe in, there's an upward action from the feet up to the crown. And as you breathe out, there's a downward action from the crown to the soles of the feet. So just following the journey of the breath. It's almost as though the breath is like a wave of energy moving up the full length of the body and moving down the full length of the body. As though with the in-breath, you are bringing in new energy, new life. And with the out-breath, you're letting go of stagnancy and staleness. Bringing in vitality. Breathing out anything you feel ready to let go of. You may even see the breath represented by a light, by a sense of awareness. by a feeling or an image. As you're breathing up the length of the body, you may wish to say in your mind the mantra "so" for as long as that in-breath happens. And as you breathe out, you might say the mantra "hum" the whole length of the exhalation. So with the in-breath, hum with the out-breath. But also know that you don't need to use that mantra if you don't wish. Just stick with what you were doing before. You may choose to stay with that breathing practice, with the mantra, or you might just want all of that to drop away and just allow yourself some moments where there's nothing to do. You'll know what's the right thing to do. And very gradually, just begin to allow your attention, your awareness to just start to allow yourself to begin to stir just a little. You might do that by changing your breath pattern. You might instigate some gentle movement. You might just find a yawn or a stretch or a sigh. Might help. For those that have been lying on their back, you might want to just roll onto one side, just to act as a sort of halfway point before coming up to sit. So from however you've chosen to sit, allow your spine to feel tall. Turning your attentions inwards. Just taking this moment just to allow yourself to reflect or acknowledge what may have come up through this practice today for you. And it may be that where our thinking mind or our expectations were a little bit more active at the start of the practice, we might be a little bit more aware of those things that we wasn't necessarily expecting. Those moments of intuition. Those opportunities where we created that space within ourselves. They may have been filled by something. But allowing yourself to recognize what you've needed to take away from this practice today. What would benefit you in the day ahead. To close our practice, as we always do, I invite you to join me in a repetition of the mantra Om 3 times and the mantra Shanti 3 times. So joining our hands together, lightly pushing the left and right palms to our center point. Let's take a breath in collectively and a breath out, and a breath in to listen or chant. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bowing our head towards our hands to acknowledge the care and the attention that we've shown to ourselves the care and the attention that we've shown to each other, and the care and the attention that we can take back into our lives. Om Shanti. Thank you for your time, everybody, today. Really nice to be here with you all. Take your time. Make sure you wrap up. It's cold out there. Thank you, everyone, on a recording as well. Really nice to be here with you.